Okay. Good evening. I muted everyone on mute, so I won't be able to hear you if you are speaking to me. Just if someone can give me the hand just to say that you can hear me, those who are on mute on Zoom. Okay, great. So you can hear me. Everything good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so during the shiur, I won't be able to take questions from Zoom because but I will be taking questions from the room. That is one advantage that those sitting here have over those who are on Zoom. Once I finish, I'll take questions also on Zoom. I'll unmute the people on Zoom and take questions. So, good evening. Hi, nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. I will discuss 3 subjects tonight, all related to Pesach. First, cleaning, then very shortly, shopping, then selling, checking, destroying chametz before Pesach. Those are the three subjects. So we'll start with cleaning. So first of all, we have to understand on Pesach we have 2 different prohibitions. The one prohibition is we're not supposed to have chametz in our possession. The other prohibition is we're not supposed to eat chametz. What is the difference? If my non-Jewish neighbor gives me a sandwich on Pesach, I don't own it, but I eat it, then I am transgressing the prohibition of eating chametz, but not the prohibition of owning chametz. I have whiskey in my cabinet, which I didn't sell, and I own. Over Pesach, but I'm not drinking it or doing anything with it. I'm not transgressing the prohibition of eating chametz, of consuming chametz, but I am transgressing the prohibition of having chametz during Pesach. Now, there is a distinction between these 2 prohibitions because owning chametz is chametz that is significant chametz, chametz that I would want, chametz that I have what to do with. So, for instance, if there are crumbs somewhere in the corner in one of the rooms of my home, that is not considered owning chametz. But when it comes to consuming, if by some way I consume those crumbs, that is considered consuming chametz. So consuming is any visible crumb that I consume on Pesach. I am transgressing the prohibition of not consuming chametz. But having crumbs in my house, that's not a problem. So what chametz is a problem? So of a significant size that someone, even in a very desperate situation, would want to do something with it. So even if it is, let's say, half a cookie, even with a bite, but it's significant, it is something that someone very hungry would want to even eat, that is considered chametz for that if I have it in my home, I'm transgressing the prohibition. So where does the line go between crumbs and chametz that I want? If it is the size of an olive. The size of an olive or more than that, then by that I transgress the prohibition. So that, once we understand that, we don't have to go out of our way when cleaning most rooms in the home, because bedrooms, etc., they're usually clean. Maybe I forgot a biscuit somewhere. Maybe something got somewhere behind something by children and by the grandchildren when they visited, or children if they're still at home. And so we move things around, we check, we look, but it is not supposed to be too difficult to clean the majority of our home. Where does it get more difficult? When we get to cleaning the places where we eat, because then we don't want any crumbs to get into our Pesach food. So when we're talking about kitchen and to a certain extent parts of the dining room, we have to clean well to make sure that we do not consume chametz over Pesach. So the main cleaning will take place in our kitchen. So now, cleaning is not always enough. Sometimes we need to kosher things. Now, why do we need to kosher? The assumption is this. Now, a very short introduction to the rules of cleaning utensils to make and making them kosher. This would be true both for taking utensils that were used for non-kosher food and I want to now use it for kosher, or for non-Pesach and I want to now use it for Pesach. So the assumption is that the fact that I just cleaned something doesn't always clean it from everything that was in it. The assumption is that there is residue stuck to a pot or to a pan that doesn't really go off that easily, and something needs to be done, some sort of process. Hi, good evening. In order to clean it. So what is that process? That is called koshering. Now there are two main methods of koshering: hagala and libun. Hagala is basically putting something in boiling water. The idea is hot water cleans more. Good evening. Hi. Hot water cleans better than cold water. And when it's very hot, when it's boiling, then it cleans the best. So the idea is that any residue that is stuck onto it, it will come off when you put it into hot water. That is called hagala. And then there is another method called libun. Libun doesn't necessarily clean, but it burns whatever is stuck onto it. When it turns it into charcoal, it's not food anymore. It's insignificant. It is okay, and now the utensil may be used. Now, it gets a bit more complicated than that. There is a rule, and that is we function under an assumption that 24 hours after a utensil has been used, whatever residue or whatever is on it and is not so visible of the food, it is probably spoiled. And even if it will give some taste to the food that we're now going to prepare or to serve in this utensil, it is going to be bad taste, not good taste. It's not something that we want. It's not considered food anymore. This assumption is called, or this rule is called noten ta'am lifgam. It gives taste, but bad taste. And when it gives bad taste, we don't really matter. Now, the idea of taste is based on another rule. And that is, if we have non-kosher, something which is not kosher that fell into something kosher, it doesn't make it non-kosher unless it is the majority or if it gives taste. Okay, these are two. So usually we say if it is more than 1/60th, it gives taste. Less, it doesn't. With spices, things like that, things with very strong taste, it could be even less than 1/60th. But that is the rule of thumb. That is our assumption. Now, when we take so when we take something that we have been using for non-kosher or for this, for our matter, for chametz, we want to turn it into kosher for Pesach. So it has chametz residue, whatever it has, but after 24 hours, it's already spoiled. So then it should be okay. And the rule of thumb is, yes, it is okay. But the rabbis decided that at least to begin with, we won't say it's okay. Meaning, if by mistake it was used, then it's okay. But if it is not a mistake that we're talking about, to begin with, we want to kosher it. Why? Why bother koshering? Why not just wait 24 hours? So the reason is simple. Imagine having that rule and working with that rule, then people probably wouldn't have had meat and milk utensils. They would just wait 24 hours between meat and milk. Now, what a mess that may be. Someone comes, puts something on the plate, and is eating. His mother walks in 2 minutes later and says, "What are you using this plate? I just used it half an hour ago for meat, and now you're eating milk, hot milk on it." And these things may happen, and we could just imagine the balagan in such a household. So in order to avoid such situations, the rabbis decided, let's just say that anything that is meat, anything that is milk is milk, anything that is kosher is kosher, anything that is not kosher is not kosher. And in order to change it, it needs to be kosher. This way, mistakes are less, will happen less, will happen less. So now we have to kosher. So we want to take something and make it for Pesach. We have to take it and kosher it, either with hagalah or with libun. When do we do hagalah? When do we do libun? Now, in things that were used with liquid, then the assumption is that whatever residue or whatever of the food is still there, it's not stuck that much, meaning boiling water will get the grip off the utensil, and we would be able to wash it off. But if it is dry, not necessarily dry, but like something that we put in the oven, think a pot roast, right? That we put in the oven. Whatever you put there, it's not with so much liquid, and the residue or whatever it is sticks to the pan to such an extent that sometimes you can't really wash it out. Good evening, right? It's very, very difficult to wash out such filth, and therefore there we have to use libun. So the rule of thumb is things that we use with liquid we can do hagalah. Things that we use with dry stuff, mostly in the oven, or on a pan, frying pan, then we have to do libun. Now libun, not all utensils can go through libun. In fact, almost all of our kitchen utensils today are not able to survive proper libun, because proper libun is basically putting it into the fire until it glows. Now, our metals don't always glow, but it's bringing it to a very significant high temperature. Most utensils won't survive it. So therefore, our main way of koshering is hagalah. Things that require libun, usually we would just put aside. Sometimes we're able to do libun, and it does play a role. We'll see as we go along. Now, another thing that is very important to remember is the way that halacha, for this matter, any legal system functions. And that is, when we adhere to halacha or to a legal system, any legal system, we don't take into consideration the reasons why the laws were put forth. Meaning, when I stand at a red light and it's 2 a.m. and I look right, there is no car for miles and miles, and I know this place, and I know that no one is going to pass by, I don't go through the red line because I'm an abiding citizen. Meaning, there are laws, there are rules, we keep them regardless of the reason, whether the reason applies to this specific case, yes or no. That is the case with any legal system, and for that matter, we view the halacha as a legal system. So we adhere to it according to the rules. So we have a pot. It might be sparkling, clean. I see there's nothing there. I'd still have to kosher it because those are the rules. The rules are there for a certain reason. The reason doesn't apply to each and every case, but that is the case in any law and here too. But we don't apply the laws according to whether the reason applies or not. We go according to the rule, and that is also in the rules of koshering. So now that we know the principles of koshering, let's see how they play, how they unfold when we go to clean our kitchen. Okay, so let's start with the working surfaces. So the easiest working surface. So first of all, obviously we have to clean everything. Everything that we clean, we should clean properly with a lot of detergent. The detergent not only helps us clean it, but also what it does, remember I told you the 24-hour rule, that it spoils after 24 hours, we assume the food is spoiled. So then when we use detergent, we're actively adding to the spoilage of the food, and that makes it even better. So even if there's something there after the whole thing, we didn't clean well, we didn't do the koshering, didn't take everything, it's not food anymore, it's spoiled. The soap, whatever other detergent we use, spoiled it. So we clean it well, After we clean it, we boil water in a kettle, and immediately as it boils, we pour it all over the surface. Now, if you want to be extra stringent, but it is a very good method, but you have to be very, very careful doing it. If you use a hot iron, when it is wet, you take a hot iron and go over it. What it does, it basically, the iron boils the water that is on the surface, because what happens is the surface is cold. You pour the water onto the surface, it immediately cools off the water. So it does help. It's good enough to kosher it that way, because the assumption is meaning the hottest temperature, or the hottest way that whatever residue stuck to it, that would be the way that it will probably take it off. So so if there was water on it and something stuck to it in a certain way, then pouring water in the same way would also allow us to wash it off that way. So it is important after we pour the water, by the way, to move it off, and by that we're basically taking it off. But if we take the iron, so that makes it boil and on the surface, and that is even better. But we don't necessarily have to do it. If the surface is of natural stone, that's the best, because natural stone, everyone holds you could kosher, it's not a problem. If it is stainless steel, also not a problem. If it is wood, it's also not a problem. If it is granite, then there are those that say that granite, maybe it's not exactly natural, maybe it's something else, maybe it's closer to clay. Clay, for instance, cannot be koshered, because it absorbs so much that basically there is no way of koshering it, nearly no way. But I think that is not true when it comes to granite. Granite, all the experts say it doesn't absorb anything. It is even stronger than many other materials, definitely less than wood. And wood you could kosher, then definitely you could kosher granite. It's basically a mixture of some metal and stone elements mixed together and stuck with something that makes it strong.
Granite's a natural stone.
Right. Granite is a natural stone, but for some reason, probably for a marketing reason, they call this material that is used granite. They call it granite porcelain. That is how
it's a different product completely. It's not natural granite.
No, it's not natural granite. Oh, I said granite. You're right. It could. Right. Not to be confused with granite. It's granite porcelain, but it's basically they use the word granite in order to make, because it looks like stone and they want people to associate it with stone, so they say it, but it's not natural stone. The granite porcelain. Granite is right. Okay. So that is when we're talking about the surfaces. Now the sink itself, if it is stainless steel, not a problem. You pour hot water on it, it's fine. You kosher it that way. If it is like it's sort of ceramic, it's like sort of a ceramic. It's not exactly stone. It looks like stone, but it's usually ceramic with this glazing cover. Then it is problematic. It is better to cover it. Now, how do you cover a sink? It's a pain to cover a sink. If you go to shops in Bnei Brak, or perhaps Osherad in Kfar Saba would have it as well, you could get these fixed plastic things with a hole that you could put in a sink, and that will help over Pesach. That's the best thing to do. A messier way to do it will be to cover it with foil or something like that. If you want to be lenient, you could just kosher it the same way as I said before. But I'll just say that for Ashkenazim, it's pushing the border a bit. It's better to cover in that case. But by the way, when I'm going along the shiur, I'll always say things. I'll say things what the norm is. I'll give stringencies if someone wants to be stringent, and I'll give leniencies if someone wants to be lenient. but I'll mention what the norm is. So here in regard to these the ceramic sinks, then the norm is to put some sort of plastic box in it or to cover it in another way. But as I said, if someone wants to be lenient, then there are such opinions they can rely on.
I trying to go back to the counter.
Yes.
If there's a seam in the counter, a seam, sort of connecting.
So then you clean it well and pour on it water, and it's
and there's a crack.
It's the same for a crack. The same for a crack. Some people would say because if there are cracks, it's better to cover. But if you cleaned it well, and you could use if you want to be very careful, you could use a toothbrush or something that goes in it, because
even if it's not,
even if it is not a stone. Remember that we're talking about, though our utensils are very smooth and clean, but generally when the Torah talks about koshering, it's talking about stoneware, about woodware, about things, and even their metal. It wasn't nice and smooth like ours is today. So you had cracks and you had other things, and still people did it. Where I'll soon get to something, but yes. So that's zero. Now, some people, if you want to be stringent and cover it, there is such a stringency. But I don't think it's necessary. When it comes to stovetops, whether gas, electric, induction, you do it all. You kosher it all the same way. You clean it very, very well. Put empty pots with a bit water on it. It's good that there'll be water in the pot. On all hubs. Put the fire. Turn on the gas, the electricity, the induction to its highest, and leave it for about 15 minutes. By that, it basically brings it to the hottest thing, and it makes it hot. Some hold that because the top of many electric stoves is glass, that it cannot be kosher. Because some say that Ashkenazim hold that glass is like clay, that it cannot be kosher because after all, it's made out of sand, the same as clay is made out of sand. I'm not convinced that is true, and I'll tell you why. Because it is true that I told you before that clay cannot be koshered, but there is one way of koshering clay. The Gemara says that if you take clay and throw it back into the furnace, then it is you kosher it that way. Meaning because ordinary libun won't kosher clay, but a furnace will. Now, the top of an oven, an electric, basically it gets so hot. It's basically like putting it into the furnace. I think it's, even if you hold it is like clay, it's fine. It's not a problem. If you have an induction top, then you could use those silicone coverings. You could buy it in many stores. And that is an extra stringency, but it's something nice if you have it.
Does that cover the grates and the surface?
Yes.
Oh, so you don't need to do the grates separately.
Right. No. Yes. So what's so nice with an induction, like it's a silicone sheet.
Sorry, with gas.
Oh.
If you're like putting pots on top of the gas stove top, you have to deal with the grates.
No, that will kosher the grates as well. Okay. Some will say better take the grates to the hagala because maybe the libun didn't go all over, and it's. But I think if you that's why I say you should put pots on it, because basically what the pots do, they spread the fire, and it basically reaches all places that it needs to.
Like you can't get off some discolorations or some stain that still takes
because you did libun, so the libun basically burns it. That's the idea. When sorry?
Even if it's still visible after that.
Yes, because it will be black, it will be burnt. It's not something that, yeah.
And you don't But metal, like any like foil or metal.
Okay, so there are those that will cover the grate with foil.
No, not the grate, like under.
Under you don't need to, because anyway, whatever falls under you won't eat. You don't eat anyway, right? Because even during the year it's treif, because you have milchik falling there, you have fleshik falling there, and if it falls there hot, then you're not using it. So it doesn't need to be kasher, because even if something will fall there, you won't use it. So there, it doesn't really. People do put foil. I used to put foil when I was younger, and then it looks nice. But then I thought about it. It really, it doesn't. Some people cover the grapes themselves. That makes sense, but I don't think that's necessary. That either is necessary.
Something along the lines of, we have an electric stove top, and it's not like a full coil, but I don't know if it looks like induction, like it's smooth.
Yes, like a smooth glass.
Yeah.
Yes. So
what about like I clean it very well and I run the 4 elements, and what about like the space?
So some people say pour boiling water on it. I don't know if that really is necessary, or if it even helps. I think just turn it on the high, clean it well, and put pots on it and turn it on to the highest.
I mean, like the space between the words. I mean, generally, if you fall, like it's not.
Right. Yes.
Like
So
clean, and I don't know. In general, if food falls there, I always throw it away because I feel like it's pretty. Like I don't know.
Yes, if food falls there, it is treif actually, and you shouldn't really eat it. So anyhow, you're not eating it. But if the pot is on it, it makes sense to put that foil there. But another thing that you may do, I'm just thinking, no, that won't help. But what you could do, let's say, yes, you have the hub with all the pots on it. You could move it around when it's on. You move the pot from here to here, and like have it covered. Like you move this pot a bit here, and then that pot a bit there, and you have it. Part of the pot is on the heat element. Part of it is on that, heating it with boiling water, heating it up, and that way it will just make sure that it covered everything during the process. So that would probably be the best thing to do. Okay. An oven. Okay, if you have a self-cleaning oven, not a problem. You self-clean it, and it's the best libun. The temperature for libun is 370 degrees Celsius, which is about 700 Fahrenheit, I think. All self-cleaning ovens are more than that, are more than 400 Celsius. So self-cleaning is definitely okay. The question is, what about the grates and the racks and other parts of the oven? So usually the manual tells you to not leave it inside, but people have been telling me over the years that you could leave it inside. It will change colors, but but it's still usable. Nothing will happen to it. So if you want to kosher your racks, etc., of the oven, then you could leave it inside. I'm not taking responsibility. I'm just saying that people said it doesn't ruin it, but that's one thing that could do. Many people have a set for Pesach. That's also possible. Or what you could do is cover them with a sheet of foil or something like that, and use them that way. Yes. Now.
Without self-cleaning up.
Okay, a non-self-cleaning oven, like I have at home. Okay, so self-cleaning oven, I just want you to know, it's not what most people do, but there are opinions that such an oven cannot be cleaned. Why? Because things splash in the oven, and it gets hit by fat, by whatever, everything is in there, all the schmutz that is in there. And in order to take it out, you need to literally burn it. And burning it will be proper libun, which is more than 370 degrees. And if your oven doesn't reach 370 degrees, you can't do it. So you cannot kosher it. That is one opinion. There is another opinion that says, no, here too, whatever residue splashed, then it splashed at a certain temperature and hit it at a certain temperature. So we bring it to the same temperature and it will be okay. I actually think that the more stringent opinion is more logical, but I go according to the less stringent one because that is what most people do. And Nechama will throw me out of our home if I would tell her she cannot use, or we cannot use the oven over Pesach. Some people do this, create this box that they put into the oven on Pesach. It's interesting to see, but I'm not sure that it's too practical. Some people on Pesach will always wrap whatever they put in the oven just in case. But I think you clean it well, you do it. Now, why do I think you could also, why do I allow myself to be lenient on this? Because the oven, after all, the food doesn't touch the oven itself. It's in the oven, and let's say there is a crumb on this wall and my food is here. It's still the crumb is not getting into that is stuck there, and that I cleaned with detergent that made it very, very, that basically made it unedible. It's not going to do anything. It is okay. So basically what we do with an oven that is not a self-cleaning oven, we clean it well with a lot of detergent, make it as clean as we can, turn it on for 45 minutes to the highest temperature. Now, some ovens have bake and grill programs. So make sure you turn it to the highest on bake for 45 minutes, and then on grill it doesn't have to be full 45 minutes. Grill because it gets hot very, very quickly, but to an extent that you know that it got to its that it's hot and that it basically is kosher. Yes. Oh no! You don't need to do it 5 minutes because think about it. Even after 45 minutes, the thermostat kicks in. So once the thermostat keeps it on a certain temperature anyhow, so it's on the same temperature for all those 5 hours. So it's not like it's getting hotter. It's after 45 minutes usually it gets to its hottest. And
do you recommend covering the rack?
I do cover the racks, and I think that's a good thing to do because the racks themselves are closer to the food, and so it's a good idea. Okay.
Wait, while we're on oven, can we talk about barbecues, or are we?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm finishing with the kitchen, and then I'm going outside. Okay. Dishwasher. Sorry, what?
Whatever.
Okay, dishwasher. When I was younger, I thought a dishwasher cannot be kosher for Pesach. Today, everyone koshers their dishwasher for Pesach. So I'll just say there is such a stringency to not kosher it for various reasons, because it doesn't reach that high temperatures and you don't get boiling water into it. So is it hagala? But what we rely on is the idea of kebolo kach polto. Now, when it comes to a dishwasher, it does make sense even more than with an oven. Because again, with an oven, it's stuck residue that doesn't really get off. We have to burn it. And there, if we don't reach properly, boom, it's not burning it. And that's the claim there. Here, it is always steamy and always moist in there. So things don't stick to the dishwasher as much as they stick to the oven. And here we could utilize the principle of keboro kach polto, meaning the temperature with which it absorbed or with which the residue was stuck to it is the same temperature that is able to basically take it off. So we clean it well, make sure that the misaninim, the filters are also cleaned very well. And the rubber at the opening is also cleaned as best as possible. And then we put it on with soap for a whole cycle on the hottest cycle that it has. And after that, after it went through that cycle, go over with shmatter or something, basically taking off whatever might have loosened its grip from that cycle, and then that's fine. That's you can then use the dishwasher for Pesach.
And there's nothing to worry about the rats.
Okay, some say, and this is a stringency that does have merit. Some say that the racks you should do hagalah to. Now they're big, you can't do hagalah at home. You have to take them to the town place where they do hagalah. That stringency does have merit. I don't think it's necessary, but if you want to, it's a stringency that does make sense. Okay. Microwave. Microwave, you clean very well. Take a cup with water, put it in for 10, 12 minutes. You could watch the microwave as it's doing it. When you see it's filled with steam, you stop it, open it, and basically wipe the steam off. And that's the way you kosher a microwave. Now, why? The microwave, the walls of the microwave they don't really reach high temperatures. It's only the food that reaches high temperatures, but they get hot because of the steam over the year. So they don't, with the steam, they don't absorb anything, but things splash onto it when it's a bit hot because of the steam, but it's not so hot probably when it reaches it. And therefore here again, we're applying the rule of kebolo kach polto, whatever the temperature is when it has steam and it's absorbed and the food is sticking to it, then we bring it by putting that cup of water with it steaming all over, is bring it to that temperature, and we'll be able to easily wash it off. So that is what we do. I forgot to mention, we always wait 24 hours in addition to koshering, even though we don't need to, because proper koshering, basically, whatever it was, it's now okay. But we just, as a stringency, we also wait 24 hours from the last time we used it to chametz before we use it for Pesach.
Isn't that the case as well for like your sink and your
Yes. That's for everything. I forgot that. I'm now mentioning it for everything. Yes. On the 24-hour, it could be that Sephardim are less concerned with that 24-hour. I don't know. But the truth is, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because usually from the time you stop using chametz to the time you'll start using Pesach, there will be more than 24 hours.
That's the hardest again.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, with the kids, that's the hardest.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but I thought you can't kosher.
Okay. So that is a question. Some will say wait 24 hours before koshering, but the truth is, what is really important that you wait 24 hours between using chametz to using it. But yes, regardless of when you kosher, it's better, at least it's better to wait 24 hours before koshering. It will be better. But you don't, but the important thing is between using. Okay. Magimix or any other food processors, it is good to have separate the plastic pieces to have separate for Pesach and for during the year. It makes it much easier. That's many people have that. If you don't have two sets, or if you want some pieces from that are specific that you need, then you could kosher it. Basically, how you kosher it with hagalah. You boil water in a pot, in a chametz pot that you didn't use for 24 hours. You boil water and you dip the pieces that you want to use in the water, and that's fine. Pieces that are used for making dough cannot be koshered. Definitely not according to Ashkenazim. According to Sephardim, in some instances they may be koshered, but Ashkenazim definitely not. So anything that is used to make dough, which is proper chametz, you don't cannot be koshered. Okay, I'm getting to the kumkum in a minute. I don't know why I put the coffee machine before the kumkum. I think our priorities are shifting. It used to be that the kumkum was more important than a coffee machine, but I think now it became that a coffee machine is even more important. A coffee machine, the truth of the matter is, a coffee machine doesn't really need to be kosher because coffee is not chametz, and even coffee with flavors. A friend of mine who's an expert told me that it has, it might contain kitniot, but definitely not chametz. So it doesn't really need to be kosher, but because it's in a chametz environment, etc., you want to be sure. So you basically run it a few times, and run it once would be enough. But we run it a few times until the water is clear. Then we know that it's actually clean from the inside, and you could on the where the So basically that's what we do. Clean it well from the outside, and then you're good to go with the coffee machine. The thing that does the milk, is that what you were about to ask? Yes. So there are different types of it. So one type is this metal tube that comes out of the machine. So you clean it well, and then you take a cup with hot water. You basically put it into the hot water and turn it on, and basically allow it to kosher itself. That way, hold it for a while, and when you see it reach high temperature, it's kosher. If you use it for oat milk is proper chametz, then you really, really have to make sure it's very, very clean before. And when you kosher it, you have to make sure that you're really bringing it to a proper boil. Yes. Then there is the other one, which is like sort of it stands on the side of the machine, and it has like this magnet element at the bottom that spins, and it has a kfitz, like you put it around with a plastic thing, and you know what I mean, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't think mine has a magnet, but it's more plastic.
Yeah, it's a plastic, but I think there is a I think it has a magnetic thing that makes it spin. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. That is basically what you could do is put water in it with some soap, very little soap, because the whipping will bring back the soap. So put really a tiny bit of soap with water, and have it spin, and then you pour it. And by the time, and then it's very difficult to clean because the milk sticks to it, and it's very. But after a few times that you do it, then the water will come out clear. Here again, if you use it with oat milk during the year, then you have to really make sure that it's properly clean, and that you really brought it to be hot when you did.
Nespresso pods.
Yes, Nespresso, which is pure coffee without flavors, not a problem. Kosher Pessach. Flavors might contain kitniot, from what I know. Yes. Okay, urn or kumkum. Strictly speaking, they also don't need to be kosher for Pesach because all you boiled water. Water is not chametz. But because, again, it's a chametz environment, and who knows, maybe a crumb fell in it and it boiled and it stuck to it, something like that. Who knows? Okay, so just to be sure, then we boil water in the kumkum and spill it, and then clean it well inside and outside, and make sure that it's clean, that it's kosher that way. The same thing with an urn. The top of the urn, some people put the challah on the top of the urn on Shabbat. If you do that, then the top of the urn has to be koshered as well. And the way to do it is basically hagala. After cleaning it well, you put it in a pot and kosher it that way. Barbecue. Okay. Most modern barbecue, whether they're gas or or whatever. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me now. Great, great. Okay, so I'm connecting another microphone. Just a minute. Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Oh, Tova, did you come because you were at home and it went off? You couldn't hear it?
No, I actually looked at my watch and I said,
oh, okay. Okay, because we just had something the people on Zoom, it went off on Zoom. No, you weren't supposed to know. I mean,
okay,
it just went out today. Okay, yes, yes. Okay. So
a lot of coolers inside.
barbecue. Barbecue, basically, how do we use a barbecue? Yes. Modern barbecues reach a very high temperature. We clean them as well as we could. We put the lid down with the grates inside and basically put it on the highest. Right, but the top doesn't burn that well. So you don't need to clean the bottom of it really. It's but the part that goes down, the inside of it might, if anything visible, basically make sure that it's clean. Yes, we're talking about the barbecue. You cover it, turn it on to the highest, leave it on for an hour or something like that, and that's that. You don't really, it all gets burned. I mean, you should clean it. It's a good idea to clean it, but it koshers it even without it because the idea is it burns it. Okay. No difference. Yes, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. Plata, yes. Plata, you cannot kosher a plata because things spill on it and stick to it. You can't really take it off. Even hot boiling water won't take it off. Nothing takes it off. You can't do libun. You can't burn it because it would ruin the plata. So you can't really kosher a plata. If you're really desperate, cover it with foil, but it's better to have another plata for Pesach. Yeah. What really that you can cover? Why? What?
Because for all these years, I was told you just clean your plata and you put it on a high setting.
I never said that. I never said. Last year, I said what I said now.
I'm sorry.
No, but did you ever manage to clean your plata well? To like really properly clean all the residue that was on it? Really? Oh, wow. Wow.
It's not dirty because I put a cookie sheet on top of it, and that's what it's.
Okay. So maybe that is a special case. Right. Okay. Most people have their plata on. Okay. Okay.
So for me, if I don't really, I barely put anything directly on the top, and the top is very clean, and I put a cookie sheet on, and that's what I put the thing on.
I don't know. I would say even then I would recommend covering it because you can't really kosher it.
So what I do that, I wash it off even though it's not really dirty. I cover it with, I put it in hot for like an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I keep it covered with foil.
Oh, you keep it covered with foil. Okay. Okay. So I said that you may do, but I didn't recommend that. But in your case, that it's so clean, maybe it's okay. I'm saying generally, with most people, I mean, with our plata and with most platas I know, they have a lot of spillage on it. Okay. Shopping. Okay, a few rules. So we spoke about. I said it's a good idea to go to a place like Osherad where you could find things without Ashkenazim could find things without kitniot, without anything, and that's a good idea. Okay, I'll get to it. There are things. There is one thing that I think is not that is in machoket that I think is not kitniot. That is canola. canola, or sometimes it's written as canola, sometimes it's written as liftit in some, but liftit could be either canola or soya. So you have to pay attention what it is. But if it's canola, then it's fine, in my opinion. I won't get into why I think that. I'll just state it as a matter of fact now. Other things, then there is a machloket about things like quinoa, chia, and things that people didn't used to eat. So they say, well, the minhag doesn't apply to things that people didn't used to eat, and therefore they may be eaten. I know that OU give a kashrut to quinoa for Pesach. Other kashrut bodies do as well. I think people should follow their minhag, whatever people that come from America and are used to eat quinoa should continue to do so. My own personal opinion, I think it does fall under the category of kitniot, but that is my own personal opinion. It's not, there are other people should follow their minhag, not my opinion, because again, kitniot is a matter of minhag. There are items that some people treat as kitniot, some like peanuts. There are different minhagim in South Africa, some in America, depends if they come from Lithuania or Poland. They treated peanuts are the root, they're not the seeds. So many say it's not kitniot. Some people said no, but it looks like seeds, so maybe it is. So do as your minhag is.
So getting back to the leaf tea, there are numerous products that say leaf tea. You're saying that we can't, it's not.
So it depends. Sometimes liftit, it will usually say liftit canola or soya. If it's canola, then it's fine. If it's soya, then it's not so obvious.
So then even not using canola for frying.
I think it is okay. I think it is okay. Okay. Medicine. If you are using medicine, don't. If it is medicine without any taste, it doesn't need to be kosher for Pesach. It's not considered food. So even if it does contain chametz, it's not food. It's bitter. It doesn't taste good. You're not consuming it as food. You're just swallowing it as medicine, and it's fine. You don't need to check if it's on the list or not. If it has taste, then meaning that it's coated with something sweet or something like that, you have to check that it's on the list. If it is on the list, wonderful. There are various lists. You could check them all. I'm not an expert, but you could find them online. If it's on the list of a good authority, then it's okay. If it is not, then ask your doctor for if there is a supplement. If there is not a supplement, then you ask a rabbi who knows about these things. You could ask me, but then I'll ask a colleague who knows about these things and is able to know whether something is kosher or not and what to do with it.
Most pharmacies have a list, so if you are in the pharmacy, they ask them.
Yes, and they'll also usually know what could supplement what. So you could ask the pharmacy, you could ask your doctor according to. Okay. Vitamins need kashrut Pesach. They are considered food. Okay. Sorry. Maybe not, but I wouldn't. I don't know enough to tell you. I have no idea how they make it and what it may contain and what environment is made of. The food industry today is so complex that if you're not an expert, and I'm not an expert, I just don't know. So it could be that you could find an expert regarding specific things that will tell you this doesn't need a kashrut, doesn't need a kashrut. It could be like, for instance, no, I won't say because maybe that changed and I'm not an expert. I don't want to say things without being an expert. Okay. When it comes to eating kitniot on Pesach, Ashkenazim, today we live in a mixed environment, meaning we have either our family, some of our family might be Sfaradim, maybe an Ashkenazi boy married a Sfaradi girl, or the other way around. They go to the parents, and even friends. I have a Sephardi friend. I'm going to, I won't eat in his house for Pesach. So I think we should still eat by each other. However, we should still stick to our minhagim. How do we do the two? So if you go and you're sitting in a Sephardi home on Pesach, you don't eat visible kitniyot. You don't have to announce it or say anything about it. Usually they'll know that you won't be eating it, and that's fine. They will. But let's say rice, beans, you see in front of you, you don't eat. Other items that you don't know that they contain kitniyot, you don't have to ask if they contain kitniyot or no. You have meat, so they might have put it in there's soy sauce in it, another item. You don't have to ask. You could eat. For an Ashkenazi to eat in a Sephardi home is okay under those circumstances. When we go out, then we should try. We should go out to a place that is according to our minhag. We're going to a restaurant or something like that. Then we should find a place that is according to our minhag. But let's say if our office is going on a trip and they organize this place and everyone's going to that place, then I could go with them even though they're serving their kitniyot and act the way and do the way I said before. You don't eat visible kitniyot. Whatever is not visible, you do eat. Now this is very tricky and very confusing because we like to think in essential terms. And the moment we know that we could eat, just a minute, how is it that when I'm here I could eat kitniyot or at least non-visible kitniyot, I could eat here, meaning there is nothing inherently wrong with the kitniyot. And then at home, I have to be so careful. It's very confusing. So I want to stress again, part of keeping halacha is keeping to rules. They're not all rules are, there is a difference between the essence and the rule, right? You remember the stopping at the light at 2 at night makes no sense. But that part of keeping halacha is we serve Hashem by basically by doing things not because we understand we understand that they're essentially true, but because this is by adhering to a set of rules, we're basically bowing to a higher power. That's basically a very important idea of keeping halacha. So yes, so sometimes we do things even though it's not something essential. It's a minhag, and sometimes the minhag in our own home, in our own environment where we could keep our minhag properly, we do it. But when it comes to eating at a friend's home, then there is another principle of being friendly and eating at each other, and we don't want the two to contradict. And sometimes one thing supersedes the other, and we won't keep it here. We'll keep it here, and it's still okay. Okay.
So, what if it's your own child? So they know that the parents are Ashkenazi, and my daughter can make meat with soy sauce, and we can eat it, or
she doesn't have to tell you. You meaning she's married to a Sephardi, and they eat kitniyot. Right. You go eat. She doesn't have to tell you what's in it.
So I know, but
look.
If we go to her house,
I'll flip it. I'm Sephardi. Whenever I have an Ashkenazi, I'm going to shop again. And I've been 30 times.
Yeah. So that's very nice and kind of you, but
like, do I have to worry about what?
There are many who would say what I said is quite a mainstream thing. I don't know if many people. Sometimes people feel funny doing it, so they like, how could I do it? But it's yeah. I know of a Ashkenazi woman who married a Sephardi and never allowed kitniyot into their house because she just couldn't get over it. But okay. So that's the shopping bit, a very short bit.
So there are a couple of products that I saw here. One of them being Hershey's Cocoa, and the other one being Arm & Hammer baking soda. Both of which the OU says does not need to have an OUP certification, that it can just be OU outside. And what? And it said that it was manufactured. I checked to see that it was manufactured in the United States, and it was. Is that so?
That's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine. The OUR, proper kashrut authority, and they say that this is okay. They don't have to put their stamp P. But basically, by stating that, it's as if they put the P on it. Right. Meaning, it's basically that's absolutely fine.
And cocoa, both of which Big Deal has. And he doesn't have it in his Pessach section, but I looked at the OU book.
That's absolutely fine. Yes.
Both of them will be in the United States.
That's absolutely fine.
He said, oh, can I quote you? He said, no. But
yes, yes. Okay. Moving on to selling chametz, checking for chametz, and burning chametz. Yes. Oh, pet food. Yes, that's important. Pet food also cannot be chametz. So if it contains chametz, that's a problem. If it has grain in it or anything like that, it may contain kitniot, even if we're Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim do feed kitniot to their animals. We just don't eat it ourselves. Okay.
And just by reading the ingredients.
I'm sorry? Yes. If the ingredients don't contain grain or anything like that, then you could assume it's okay. If you have questions regarding pet food, then I have an expert that could answer. I'm not an expert, but I know someone who is and is able to answer. Moving on to selling chametz, checking for chametz, and destroying the chametz. Selling chametz is a new invention. It basically started 400 years ago, more or less, when many Jews became owners of pubs. Pubs serve a lot of beer, a lot of whiskey, which are made from grain, from chametz, and they had barrels and barrels of those of it before Pesach. They couldn't close down just before Pesach because they needed to stay open. They needed to pay rent, usually to the paritz, to the landlord, and so they had barrels and barrels of beer before Pesach. What do you do? So the rabbi said, okay, sell it to a non-Jew. So it was invented for a financial, a pressing economic need of some people. Now, not lately, but later it became that when people had expensive whiskey at home or something like that, which is also a great loss. So here too, mechirat chametz came in. So basically, mechirat chametz are for things that either are not chametz gamur or that are a great loss if I won't sell it. If someone has a pack of pasta at home or something like that, which is not a big deal, it's better to either, there are these charities that take it and then they sell it and then they might after Pesach give it away or even burn it for destroy it before Pesach. That is preferable for chametz gamur, unless it is hefsed merubah. It's a great loss, something which I care about. Tova, you wanted to?
There was a box outside the shop.
Right.
And where is it?
Oh, it's not there anymore? It's supposed to be there. I don't know. There is the Shministim organized something.
I know, there and
Okay, I'll send the post. I'll ask. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, when it comes to this year, a question that I saw, I wasn't asked that question, but I saw many rabbis were asked that question, was people are keeping food aside for just in case something happens, and now what to do with it? Can they sell it? So I think the answer is no. The answer for that particular food is no, because you are keeping it for after Pesach, definitely. And I'll explain. With whiskey, let's say, if I have a beautiful, nice bottle of whiskey, why does it hurt me to pour it out? Because it costs me 300 shekel, that bottle. And I don't want to pour 300 shekel down my sink. It hurts. So I don't care about the whiskey. I care about the value. So therefore, I sell it. And After Pesach, I'll get it back. I know I'll get it back, but it's still okay because as far as I'm concerned, if the guy would come and pay me for it, I'll be just as happy. Okay, so that's how the mechira works. It helps because I don't really want that chametz as long as the guy will pay me for it. That pasta that I'm leaving in my basement, I don't care about its value. I want that pasta after Pesach. Meaning, I care for the pasta to stay there, and that's why I'm leaving it there. Because the money, it's not that difficult to go and buy another pasta for me after Pesach. That's not the big deal. It's not the money. It's the hassle of going and buying. I want it to be there already, just in case. And therefore, it's a problem. It's problematic. I have chametz that I actually want to keep at home, and the sale doesn't really help in that case. So I think you have 2 weeks to Pesach. Replace that there's matzah already in the stores. If you have pasta just in your cabinets waiting for a disaster to happen, then replace it with matzah. Eat the pasta in the next week. Whatever you could from it, whatever you cannot, you could give it to charity to the Shministim. Hopefully, I'll get the thing back. And sorry, what?
Lots is a good thing to keep in your mind.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Matzah stays for the longest. If you have matzah from last year, it could still be okay now. I mean, it'll be a bit stale, but it's still edible. Okay.
But if it was in your closet with all your clothing?
What? The matzah?
Matzah from last year?
If it's in a closed, if it's in a Ziploc bag, you take it out. Yeah, but you open the bag, you take it out from the bag, and now it's okay. If it's in a Ziploc sealed plastic, then it's definitely fine.
If it's a closed product, then you can never open it.
Exactly. Yes, you can use it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes.
Kind of good. Like I was thinking about the bulk of probably the media, but I was noticing that I have like 1,000 cans of tuna. And they're all the flaky meals. It's not really chametz.
So you just leave them. Just leave them. It's not a problem because they're not chametz. You don't even have to sell them. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So that is regarding selling chametz. Next week, after Mariv of nearly every day, I'll put out a post. What days after Mariv I'll be taking care of people who want to sell their chametz, or else a very easy way to do it is also online. I'll be sending out a link for that as well.
Sugarcane paper plate.
Okay, so someone sent me something and they said they called the company and the company said it's not kosher for Pesach. Now it could be that what the company meant to say it's not kosher for Pesach. It's not certified, but I don't know what would be not kosher there because it's sugarcane is kosher for Pesach, and it's like plastic plates or anything else. It's just the material is here sugar cane. So I guess I think it's okay. I know someone once said that with paper goods, they use starch to basically keep them apart, and that starch might be based on chametz. But again, an expert that I know told me that in the market they don't use chametz starch for that because chametz starch is very expensive. So they'll use only potato starch or things of that type for it, if at all, if not something synthetic. So it's fine. On the 14th of Nisan, the night before Leila Seder, we do Bdikat Chametz immediately with nightfall, as soon as possible after Tfilat Arvit. It is done. You say a bracha and you search your home. One should not talk between beginning of the search and the end. Basically, what do you mean not talk? Not talk of things that are not of the matter of the bdika. Basically, concentrate on the bdika from beginning to end. Now, to properly search for chametz throughout our homes, it'll take us about 3 weeks, and we have only one night, and even that, we don't want to spend the whole night on that. And that's okay. because during the days prior to that, we were busy cleaning our homes. So at least someone in the household knows of specific places that were clean. So the one who's doing bika doesn't necessarily have to open every cabinet, every drawer, and look in every corner. Basically, you come to a cabinet, you ask, if you are not the one that cleaned it, you ask, was this cabinet clean? Yes, okay. You look underneath, maybe someone didn't pay attention underneath, and you move on to the next thing, basically making sure that the house is clean from chametz. In the kitchen, part of the bika is to make sure that there are no chametz products outside or anything like that you might by mistake eat on Pesach. So that's basically what you should do. Now there is sorry, 1 minute. Yes. You have to make sure to not forget to check other places that you may have. If you own another apartment that you know you'll go there during Pesach, you have your car, you have your office, you have other places that you are responsible for. You have to make sure those places are checked for chametz as well. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it on the night of 14th. Let's say if you have an apartment in Yerushalayim, you don't have to drive there on the 14th and check it. Basically, the last night that you are there before the 14th, you check it without a bracha. If you're not going to spend any time in that, not you nor someone else is going to spend time in that apartment or that place, you don't need to check it at all. You write that address in your and whatever chametz that might be there, you sell, and that's fine. Okay, that's checking for chametz. On the morning, whatever chametz that wasn't sold and that you're not going to finish eating before the time of that you didn't finish at the time of Sof Achilat Chametz, which I think is about 10 o'clock this year, then you have to burn until around 11ish, I think. I think 11 something is the Sof Zman HaBi'ur. The Moatzah Hadatit organized places where you could burn your chametz. There is one next to Dekel's school and one next to at the end of Yara for those living in this area. I think that's that. That basically covers, once you burn the chametz, you're ready for Pesach. And then comes, okay, I'll open here and let's see if there are any questions here as well. Just a minute.
הרב,
אתה פתחת.
הרב,
כן.
משנה לחם לוקח אוכל יבש, סגור, באריזות סגורות. אפשר להביא לבית שלנו.
לאן להביא את זה?
עקיבא 37ג'.
Okay. Food that you want to give away to charity, bring to Akiva 37 Gimel.
Gimel, closed packages.
Closed package. Yes.
Not expired.
And not expired. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ויש כמה שאלות שם בצ'אט.
Okay. Yes. So I see questions in the chat. Can I make kitniot in my Pesach pot for Sephardi person? Then strictly speaking, yes, one can make kitniot in there, meaning if kitniot were made in someone's pot, it doesn't make it not kosher for Pesach, but I don't recommend doing it in an Ashkenazi home. Under certain circumstances, it's okay, but I do not recommend that. Okay, when do we wait 24 hours? Okay, So that was maybe you didn't hear. Maybe that discussion took place when the microphone wasn't on. The main thing is that we wait 24 hours between using the item for using it, whatever it is, the utensil, the appliance, between chametz and non-chametz. However, it is recommended that we wait even before koshering it 24 hours. Yes, on the 14th, basically, once we finish doing bdikat chametz at home, we run out to the car and make sure there's not chametz in the car. That is also part of the bdika. There is no need to say a separate bracha. It's included in the one bracha that we said for bdikat chametz. Okay, can a hotel be viewed the same as visiting a Sephardi house? I would say that's a tricky question. I would say generally no. But let's say I'd rather not answer it with a definitive answer. I would say it is recommended that Ashkenazim that go to a hotel find a place without that doesn't serve kitniyot. But I don't want to be too definitive about it, and I'll leave it to people's discretion. What about microwave that is an oven? Yes, so I'm sorry, someone asked that to me and I didn't write it. I should have had it in the shiur. I think, and I'm not I think it should be cleaned as a microwave, as I said, a microwave should be cleaned with the water, etc., and then be koshered as an oven would be koshered by turning it onto the highest and after cleaning it and waiting 24 hours. Okay, those are all the questions here. If anyone has other questions, yes. Oh, just a minute. I think I see everyone are still. Okay, people can unmute themselves if they want to talk. Okay, if you had enough, you could go if you had enough. But you could hear people's questions if you want. Anyone who's on Zoom can unmute themselves now and ask a question. Okay, no questions. Okay, Laila Tov, good night. May we all have a Pessach Shiur v'sameach.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Frau.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, pleasure.